The gearbox, second gear. Coca-Cola, it's a fairly tight corner, so its approach is slow and then hard on the way out. Accelerating hard in third gear, holding a constant throttle into the S-band. Back changing one gear and flipping in to the left-hander. You hold second gear here, right through and to the right and right into the hairpin. The hairpin's fairly tight, but you still hold second gear and accelerate very hard down the middle straight. Third gear, fourth gear, and just clicking fifth gear and braking hard the Higgins corner, which is a bank corner, which is fairly easy to get through because you're on camber. Coming out of here in second gear, the back wheel's fairly lively, starts sliding, and back up the gearbox through to sixth gear, about 230 k's. Back down through to third gear, running right to the edge of the track, back out onto the front straight, as hard as possible and as wide as possible, get the most traction out of the track, and down the front straight.
Kiwi Aaron Slight, after years of hard work, had just got where he wanted to be in terms of a professional career. That got curtailed by a crash in Japan. Aaron, tell us what happened.
Yeah, I went to Japan to do a 200-kilometre race, and we were practising on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and on the Thursday afternoon I crashed off the bike after putting a new front tyre on and sort of slid down the track. The bike landed on my hand and wore it out the top bit here, and losing the tendons in the top of these three fingers, and losing a bone in this little finger.
How much of a handicap is that now to ride with?
Yeah, it's a bit of a handicap, but we're sort of still on the learning ropes, and things are coming right now. After riding Australia last week, we're getting a bit of an idea of what's happening with the hand.
It's a real knockback, though, isn't it? It means you've got to start all over again, basically.
Yeah, especially with a bit of self-confidence. It's a bit hard to get back out there after having a big crash like this and get back into it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Superbikes. You've heard us all talking about Superbikes. What are they? Well, Richard Schooler, you're a Honda dealer, but this is a beautiful Ducati. Tell us about Superbikes.
Superbikes, this is absolutely a beautiful Ducati, as you say, Tony. The Superbike formula is 750cc 4 strokes, 4 cylinders, 1000cc twins, as is Raymond Roche's bike here. The basic formula is they take a street bike and modify the hell out of it. Now, they've modified the front end here. They have Öhlins outer front forks on the front, big discs, change the wheels and have slick tyres as well. The frames and the body contours remain the same, and they modify the exhaust, the internals of the engines. The rear wheels get widened, run racing slicks, and that's essentially the formula.
And we're talking up around 140 horsepower, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. Particularly a works bike like Raymond Roche is also using the electronic fuel injection, which gives them a real horsepower advantage.
And in terms of being able to ride one, almost the horsepower of a Grand Prix bike, but a lot more weight.
A lot more weight than a Grand Prix bike, but they're using similar tyres to the Grand Prix bikes, and these guys here riding them will tell you they're no slower than Grand Prix riders, although that's in some doubt from the Grand Prix guys' point of view.
Lots of people come to Manfield for lots of different reasons. We sought some opinions from people who come here, particularly a women's perspective.
Oh, I like to see the guys in the leather.
My boyfriend races the guys. No, he's fast and they're good. And they're, I don't know, yeah, noise, everything, they're great. Gets you going.
I've been going to racing for about 10 years. I love it. It's great.
Oh, drinks. Smell of the fumes and everything gets your blood going. It looks pretty racy and pretty neat.
Why you speak English?
Oh, a lot of fun.
You know, I'd like to be a biker chick one of these days. Actually, my main ambition in life is to be a biker chick. And I just like taking, you know, footage of all the blokes because I think they're such sweet spots, you know?
Interesting views there from a variety of people who are part of the crowd out here at Manfield. Certainly an excellent crowd to watch Superbikes. It brings people out. Part of that is the close racing that people have come to expect. I know that we didn't get that in the first race, but certainly this formula, Richard, has had the potential to be the closest racing of any kind of motorcycle formula in a world championship.
Yes, it has. We've certainly seen more brands of motorcycle, more brands of tyre, and certainly more nationalities of rider capable of getting on the rostrum, and we've had an absolutely fantastic series.
Lou, just for a moment, stick your neck out. Terry Reimer again, do you think?
Trying to predict a winner in any sort of motorsport really is definitely sticking your neck out. I don't think Terry Reimer. My money would be with Rob Phillips. He sits on pole position. He made an absolute hash at the start of the first leg, and I can't really see him doing it twice. The sort of guy that if he gets a lead, it'll be very hard to peg back.
I think Raymond Roche, you can't discount either.
I'm going with the young blood, Daryl Beattie.
This is the man who has already won the World Championship. We asked him a little earlier on how he got himself motivated. What was the point of being here, really, and risking things?
I can win here. Yeah, my bike's okay now. Before I don't want to come in here, but we are with a World Championship. I think it's not correct to go home before the end. I say, okay, we go in New Zealand, and I don't like this track, but I like this country. I say, wait, we go in New Zealand.
Why don't you like this track?
Oh, it's too short, so short, and I think a little bit too hard, but yeah, it's not perfect, but nobody is perfect.
It's not good for the Ducati?
Oh, I think long track is better for my bikes. Long curve is only a short curve. It's not easy to drive. It's okay, we have a very good engine and we can go slow and open. It's okay.
Will you try to win today, or will you ride for places?
I race every time for win, but sometimes it's not easy. And in the championship, I say, okay, it's better to finish second or third and take points. But here, I have, in practice, I have good setting on my bike, and I hope to win. Yeah, it depends of start, I think I can win today.
Who was the hardest? He wasn't far off the mark, was he? He came out in the first race that we had. Terry Reimer took a real jump from the start. Roche didn't get a particularly good start, and it would have appeared that he didn't need the win, so he didn't really have much incentive. But he came out and finished an excellent second place and really applied some pressure to Terry Reimer in the latter stages of the race. He never in the end got close enough to challenge directly, but he certainly applied pressure in terms of the space that he was gaining with each of the closing laps. Let's just have a look now at who are the top 10 qualifiers in the final World Superbike race.
Australian Rob Phillips has put his Kawasaki on pole with a very impressive 67.8 seconds, ahead of the two Loctite Yamahas of Rob McElnay and Terry Reimer. Young Australian Daryl Beattie is off 4, alongside the newly crowned Superbike champion, Raymond Roche, on the Ducati. On 6 is the Honda of Stefan Mertens, with the fast-starting Italian Fabrizio Pirovano on 7. Aaron Slight leads the Kiwi charge from position 8 from Jari Suonen of Finland. And rounding out the top 10 is the likeable Scot, Brian Morrison. The red flag is up. They are under starter's orders. The starter, Brian Davies, is ready. This is leg 2, the final round, and they are away. A blinder of a start from Daryl Beattie on the outside. Down into the first corner. Who's it going to be? Beattie is wide. 7 is Reimer. Beattie coming round the outside through the first corner. 35 laps at Manfield. 3.1 Ks per lap to go in this Egypt second leg. 7 is Reimer. Remember, he led this first leg earlier today from start to finish. Can he do it again? 19 is Rob McElnay. The team Loctite Yamahas are 1 and 2.
McElnay's already gone past Daryl Beattie there into second place. He's determined.
That was an excellent start too from McElnay. I thought Beattie had a good line and a good drag up that front straight into the first corner, but McElnay really judged it beautifully, and by halfway through this first lap he was able to slip into second.
They're into the back straight for the first time, and this is unbelievable. I don't know what Terry Reimer's been up to, but it certainly worked. That is an amazing lead early on. What has he done to his bike?
They've pretty much come out with the same combination as the first race with Reimer's bike, and McElnay the same. Interesting point with McElnay's motivation here already is if he finishes in front of Phillips, he finishes in front of him in the championship, bags 4th place.
And Terry Reimer from Great Britain on the Yamaha.
Lena, you caught a glimpse there just a moment ago. Daryl Beattie looking back over his shoulder and Robbie Phillips behind him and seemingly dropping back, and then he picked it up again. You see there that Phillips is very close to him in 4th.
Rob Phillips, course on bike 11. That's the green menu. Let's pick him up. That's him there. Tucked in behind is bike 4, Fabrizio Pirovano. 14, you caught a glimpse of there is the Wairarapa rider, Aaron Slide. But I've got to pull this man back. Another Yamaha in the hands of the 23-year-old Brit, Terry Reimer.
That's looking like a good battle shaping up between Phyllis and Daryl Beattie.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it, Tony? Reimer got a jump like this in the first leg, and I don't really believe that the riders behind thought that this was going to happen.
Well, we heard comments from several of them saying that they didn't think anybody would try and make a break. He did exactly that, and it paid off for him. And obviously they're going to be a little wary about that now.
What's more, last year Terry Reimer won the first leg and really dropped the ball in the second one and didn't have the determination and motivation to go with it. This year he's matured a lot, obviously, and he's retained his concentration for the second race.
2 laps down out of 35, and the gap first to second is 1.37 seconds. It's Terry Reimer. There's the gap. Back to the second Loctite Yamaha of Rob McElnay. Tucked in behind, catch the green machine. The 11 is Rob Phillips. 4 is Pirovano. That is Daryl Beattie, the 20-year-old Australian sensation. Oh, catch the glimpse of the green rider go through the inside of Daryl Beattie. But this is the man, Terry Reimer. He's doing it all again. Phyllis in third has a look back. Different lines going up that straight, under brakes for Higgins.
There was something odd about the way Daryl Beattie looked back over his shoulder in that first lap round at the front straight. There was something odd about it because he dropped back immediately afterwards. He since really looked as though he can't maintain a place. You'll notice there that Phyllis has whipped through very, very quickly indeed. Phyllis in second now. Pirovano's coming up with him.
It's Terry Reimer. That's McElnay tucked in behind. Team Loctite Yamaha, 1 and 2. 11 in behind there, that's Rob Phillips. 4 is Pirovano. Catch a glimpse there of Raymond Roche in 3. Very early stages. Remember, this is a 35-lap race. It's the final leg of the World Superbike Championships that started way back on March the 18th in Jerez in Spain. Here we are at Manfield on November the 18th. Rob McElnay, second place at the moment, through the hairpin here at Manfield. Let's just see if we can pick up the gap. That's Reimer first. He's done it again, Tony. Look at that gap from first to second.
Yes, but it's nothing like the same comfortable margin he had in the first one, and it's his teammate behind him, which is probably good for him. And then Robbie Phillips behind him in third place, and Phillips setting out on the charge, but you can see the gap opening up there now. First, second, and then a big one back to third. The front 2 runners, Reimer and McElnay, as teammates, really are getting a jump on this field. It's a question of how well they can maintain it. And the gap that Reimer is pulling, riding the tail off this bike, is not as easy in pulling away as he was in the first leg.
Terry Reimer leads. 19 is McElnay. 11 is Phyllis. Tucked in behind Phyllis is Pirovano. 3 you caught the glimpse of is Raymond Roche. That's the top 5.
Yes, the cynic would say that it must be contract time and Rob McElnay's contract up for renewal.
Still Terry Reimer through the HMSs here at Manfield, taking impeccable lines as we expected and as we saw indeed in the first heat. Powers out of the corner, puts everything down. 6'2", he's crouched over this machine. There's our current standings. Reimer leads 1.56 seconds back to Rob McElnay. Team Loctite 1 and 2. Rob Phillips on the quacker back in third place.
Yes, and Phyllis and McElnay in those positions there. Whoever finishes in front in the race takes the position in the championship. Between legs, Robbie Phillips looked like he could eat raw meat. He was really, really hosed off. His brakes weren't right in that first leg.
That's the man currently in third place. It's the Australian Rob Phillips on the Kawasaki. Working very hard to try and peg back 19, which is Rob McElnay. Pirovano's tucked in there. Don't forget Raymond Roche back there in fifth.
It's just worth looking. If we get a close shot there at this fellow, Rob Phillips, have a look at how hard he's working on that bike compared to Rob McElnay. He really is having to ride this bike a heck of a lot harder than McElnay is to stay with him. And they've said all year that the Kawasaki really has been just a gnat's whisker off in terms of pace, and you have to ride it harder to maintain the same pace. He is working.
Yes, Rob Phillips, he's certainly got the bit between his teeth because he's closed that gap down to McElnay now. Both having a little bit of a look. McElnay won't like seeing that green machine right on his tailpipe, but I think you're right. Phillips is definitely on the charge.
Of interest to Kiwis, Aaron Slight there has just picked up another place. And Daryl Beattie, the young Australian, is dropping back even further. I suspect he's got a problem with the bike because it just happened too early and too quickly. Terry Reimer still leads. 19's McElnay. 11 all over McElnay is Rob Phillis on the Kawasaki.
And this is from the man Rob Phillis, who told me at Phillip Island Grand Prix a couple of months ago that he didn't like Manfield.
Tell you what, these guys are closing the gap, Lou.
Look at that, down the inside, that's Rob Phillis through to second place. The Kawasaki splits Team Loctite Yamaha up at Manfield.
But unlike what you would expect in that situation, the two guys dicing for second and third are not slowing each other down. They're pulling in Reimer very, very quickly. Have a look at that gap. You can see it. When you get the picture, you can see it physically closing, not just on times.
The gap first to second is 0.82 of a second, according to our Unisys computer. A Yamaha leads from the Kawasaki. Another Yamaha, a Yamaha in the hands of Puravano, and a Ducati with Raymond Roche.
Yes, the whole team are looking for a big result from Rob Phillis this weekend because their whole future hangs in the balance. The Kawasaki Japanese people haven't decided what the future of the team is yet, and the mechanics, the riders, the managers all waiting to hear. Big result here may motivate them to keep the team going for next year.
Coming down to complete lap 7 of 35 in this Egypt-supported meeting of the World Superbikes from Manfield. That is Terry Reimer on bike 7. Moving closer all the time is 11. Kawasaki of Rob Phillis. And look at that. Coming wide, trying to get a better drive out of the corner at the end of the Manfield front straight. Tony, he's on the move.
I like Richard's comment just a few minutes ago about Robbie Phillis between races. He looked like he could have eaten raw meat. He was so annoyed, he was so peeved about his performance in the first race when he was fired up, dialed in, ready to do it. And just look at what he's coming out of doing here. Terry Reimer, my goodness, is he going to have to ride to stay away from Phillis here?
Dead right, Tony. After his effort, after his start in that first race, I don't think there's an interviewer on God's earth who'd want to put a mic in front of him. He was not a happy man. But look at him now.
And we may see the classic Dunlop versus Michelin tyre battle as well. Reimer on the Dunlops, the main Dunlop tyre man, and Michelin running with Phillis there.
They're on lap 8, and that's our leader. Bike 7 is Terry Reimer on the Yamaha. Right behind him and closing all the time is the Australian Rob Phillis.
Look at how much he pulls in that sweeper. Unreal. Because Reimer went in there a lot quicker and he went in a lot earlier. Now Phillis pulled that back on the curve and he's done it. He's coming through. That is superb riding. Not quite on that one, but just have a look at how much he pulls on that big curve.
What a drive out of the corner by Rob Phillis. Now side by side, the Yamaha and the Kawasaki, and Phillis hits the front in leg 2 at Manfield. Rob Phillis take a bow. That is stunning stuff. But don't write Terry Reimer off through the age of S's. He's fighting back. Have we got a race on our hands?
Well, the Kawasaki club here at Manfield have got 2 hospitality suites, a massive stand booking. They're going wild.
Rob Phillis now leads the World Superbikes at Manfield. Terry Reimer is second. Rob McElnay is third. What a fight back. This man, Rob Phillis. Currently on their 9th lap. Let's just have a look if we can see how Rob Phillis got past. Coming inside the corner at the end of the front straight, came in thin, got tremendous drive out of the corner. Reimer fighting back on the outside, side by side, but Phillis has got the lead through the right-hander, and it's first place. Tony, that's brilliant.
It is amazing, and it's intriguing talking to Robbie Phillis here. I remember him several years ago coming here and riding places like Wanganui on a big superbike that was something of a sight to behold in terms of its manufacture and construction. And he was the most relaxed guy. He was a real yahoo. He was a hard case everywhere, whether it was racing or not. Since he's been here, he is a dead serious professional. He's a totally different character, and you can see what it's doing for his riding.
Yes, he won many Australian Superbike titles over there, and eventually his sponsor Mick Hone Suzuki over there pulled out to force him onto the world stage. But it wasn't until Kawasaki took him there that he got the opportunity.
Rob Phillis leads. Terry Reimer tucked in behind, and that's something hard to do, put a 6'2" frame over the top of that Yamaha. But it's Rob Phillis all right. Down the Manfield back straight, touching 230 Ks. 7 is Reimer. Tucked in behind is McElnay. Raymond Roche now up into 4th place.
Interesting that there's 11 years age difference between first and second. Rob Phillips, you'd say, in the twilight of his career at 34, and Terry Reimer really just beginning a professional level career at 23.
Streaming through the right-hander, leading up to the age of S's at Manfield. It's Rob Phillips on the green meanie, the Kawasaki. The team Loctite Yamahas are sitting in behind in second and third. Number 3 there in 4th position is Raymond Roche on the Ducati.
Roche is certainly the mover at the moment, isn't he? This is a carbon copy of the first leg where he didn't get a particularly good start, and he staged it beautifully in the method with which he came through. He just likes shaving time off in tenths of second. He likes to shave it off lap by lap by lap over a space of, say, 20 laps in a 35-lapper.
Let's just have a look at our top 6. We've got Phillips, then Terry Reimer. Third is Raymond Roche, then Fabrizio Puravano, Stefan Mertens and Aaron Slide. And the interesting thing off the Unisys computer, they're all doing 68-second laps. And that is a real quick time around Manfield.
Yes, this is the sort of racing we've come to expect, and here at the Argent final at Manfield, it's just getting absolutely exciting. The freight train developing here on the front straight right now.
Rob Phillips, 7 is Terry Reimer, that's Roche. Second, Loctite Yamaha is 4th, that's Rod McElnay.
But Lou, just look at the way Roche is doing it. He is such a pro. He really is such a pro, this guy. Amazing when you watched him in the first leg, the way he just shaved it off. He didn't take a risk, he didn't get out of line, he didn't get big drive and sideways slip. He just kept plucking back the time at an even pace all the way, and that's what he's doing again, and he's now applying pressure to Reimer.
Oh, look, just as we talk of Roche, has a look down the inside of Reimer. That's Raymond Roche, the style of the man who's just taken out the 1990 World Superbike Series. And he's putting a lot of pressure on that man on the bike number 7. That's Terry Reimer. And look at that, down the inside, as easy as that. Thank you, Raymond Roche on the Ducati is through to second place.
Great pressure riding.
See you later, I've got the horsepower.
Well, it's amazing. Raymond Roche, he clinched the title last week at Phillip Island. Doesn't really have an incentive, one would think. He's done it. He is the world champion. One was doubting whether he'd want to go fishing this week, and he's answered us in the best possible way. That's our leading duo. Rob Phillips on the green machine in front as they come up through the back markers. And number 3, that is Raymond Roche. 7 is Terry Reimer tucked in behind. The second Loctite Yamaha is Rob McElnay. Let's just have a look now at Raymond Roche as he comes past Terry Reimer for second place.
He just gasses it hard up off the corner there and uses his horsepower advantage to get into that braking area beside Reimer and out-brakes him into the sweeper.
Tell you what, great pressure riding, and he's continued to do it. He now challenges Phillips. He had to look up the inside there when he had a chance in the traffic. Phillips got away again because Roche got balked, and he had to go a little wide, but he was still prepared in the split second before that to come up and show his wheel to Phillips and just let him know that he's going to be there and he's going to challenge.
That was an interesting shot, just watching them go down the back straight, the Kawasaki and the Ducati. And look at this. They're side by side. Raymond Roche on the inside, Rob Phillips on the outside. No answer. Our current world champion is through to the lead in this second leg at Manfield.
Hey, this is the guy who didn't want to be here. Had no incentive to win, he said.
I'll tell you what, he can fool us. That man is now our leader. Raymond Roche of La Castellet in France has come to Manfield. And he leads his way through the age of S's and up to the hairpin. We've completed 13 laps at Manfield and Raymond Roche leads.
Can we believe him? He told us this bike was best suited to the longer, fast corners of Europe, and here he is at a tighter track, doing it.
Rob Phillips still working very hard in second place, coming under a lot of pressure now from Terry Reimer in third. Let's just see if we can catch the way that Raymond Roche got past to the lead.
Yes, Roche just uses his horsepower advantage down the start, finish straight into that braking area again, and Reimer behind him, whipping his bike as though it's a horse to get more horsepower out of it.
In every case, it has been horsepower that he's used in a straight line, but he's also been getting rather late on the brakes.
14 laps have gone at Manfield in this Egypt-supported round of the World Superbike Series, currently led by this man on the red machine, the Ducati. It's Raymond Roche. Second is Rob Phillips. Third and fourth are the two Loctite Yamahas of Terry Reimer and Rod McElnay.
Ducati fans in New Zealand.
That is Stefan Mertens. He is off. Stefan Mertens, we've lost him somewhere on the track. Obviously, that's a mechanical whoopsie because he looks all right. But Stefan Mertens will not be happy. He came here wanting to consolidate his position in the World Championship, trying to restart, and he certainly has. Has a look. He will not be happy, and that's ruined his chances.
Yes, they were complaining about gearbox changing problems, and maybe that's the cause of his problem.
Well, he's back up and running anyway. And Raymond Roche looks like he's just waltzing away fairly easily now.
Doesn't he look good? Through this infamous sweeper at Manfield. Raymond Roche tucked in behind is 11. That's Rob Phillis. He's given nothing away yet. So just click off now their 15th lap. Coming up through the back markers. 3's Roche, 11 is Rob Phillis. An amazing sound, this V-twin Ducati. Totally different from the other bikes on the track. Supposed to have a lot of top-end horsepower. It's supposed to be at a disadvantage. The man riding it is supposed to clinch the world title and not be too interested. Well, it doesn't look that way, does it?
No, the big legion of Ducati fans here in New Zealand will be loving this.
Powers his way out of the hairpin. That's the gap from first to second. Tucked in behind, you can see Terry Reimer in bike 7. He's making it look easy, isn't he? That is an amazing lead. Raymond Roche has grabbed this leg by the scruff of its neck, and I don't think he'll want to let this go easily. Green flag out. Obviously, Mertens have come unloaded at one stage there. Yellow is out. Now the green is out. Raymond Roche down onto the start-finish straight. Clicks off another lap. Under brakes. End of the front straight. Through the right-hander. Puts the power on. Richard, he's making it look easy.
Yes, he is indeed, and his tyres are just squirming a little bit there. We haven't seen the Ducati do lots of slides or lots of hairy antics whatsoever. He's just doing it very, very well right now, and essentially riding away from the other guys, and that must have really demoralised them.
And he's just reeled off another 1:8.74. It was amazing to me, Richard, when Roche decided to go for it. It was the first time in 2 races that we'd seen him really push that bike. It was amazing how quickly, when you look at the times and you come down half a second, the bike gets out of shape. And we hadn't seen it out of shape for the previous leg in entirety.
Yeah, that's right. He's very, very controlled rider. Really keeps his head together with it. Very, very experienced.
Raymond Roche just passing one of the back markers. That's Josiah. Down through the sweeper again.
Josiah on the Argent back Kawasaki.
Another lap down. He's completing 17 laps of 35 in this Egypt-supported race for the World Superbike Series, coming to you from Manfield. Raymond Roche, impeccable lines. A little bit of a whoopsie there, but he's got it under total control. Through the S's. Looks easy, but it's obviously not. This is an absolute example of perfection by the man who deservedly has the title of world champion.
I'll tell you what, anyone who thinks he's got off the pace is mistaken too. 1:8.5 the last lap, the quickest man on the circuit. He's obviously going to build a little bit of a lead and give himself some cushion there.
That's dead right. When you look at Phillis and Reimer, they're doing 9.02s, 9.03, so he's picking up half a second a lap. Oh, that is unreal. Look at that for a lead. All year, right from the very first round that we saw, Superbikes have been all over each other. And look at it here at Manfield.
Phillis is still keeping Reimer between him and McElnay. That's very, very important for the championship position, of course.
Raymond Roche clicks off another lap. Behind him, you catch a glimpse there of Rod Phillis. 2 Loctite Yamahas in 3rd and 4th. Right, let's just catch a little glimpse now of the top 6. Let's just see if we can pick up a key on the screen. Raymond Roche obviously leading. 2.41 seconds back to Phillis on the Kawasaki. Terry Reimer in 3rd place, 2.8 seconds adrift. In 4th place, Rob McElnay in the 2nd Loctite Yamaha, 3.28 seconds is the gap. fifth is Daryl Beattie, the brilliant 20-year-old Australian in rather magnificent company, 8.64 seconds back. And Aaron Slide, a brilliant performance from a man on his way back from a major injury, 6th place in his Kawasaki. Through the sweeper again, coming up to complete their 19th lap. Raymond Roche on the V-twin Ducati, 888 cc's, down into the braking area, through the tight right-hander.
Between races, little Fabrizio Pirovano, who's out of our picture right now, had to replace an engine in his bike. Ken McIntosh found a little piece of titanium conrod sitting on the start-finish straight away, so that was the root of his problems.
Raymond Roche through the HFSs into the hairpin. What an immaculately presented motorcycle.
I just love the way he opposite locks out of that corner when he gasses it up, and he's still staying on the pace. Another lap at 186. He's obviously trying to build a buffer here.
Onto the back straight. Power down, top gear, handful of revs. Raymond Roche, 230 Ks. Down into the braking area.
Just a very small man, pint-sized guy, and known to have little temper tantrums once in a while on the pits and stuff, but all the journalists and the crews just say, hey, we just slap him around a little bit and bring him back into line. So perhaps that's what's happened overnight to get him back on the pace here today.
It's 15 laps to go in this AGIP-sponsored meeting, bringing the World Superbikes to you from Manfield. This is the man that's leading. Frenchman Raymond Roche, doing it in absolute style. Stefan Mertens, he's done it again. That's bike 2, the Honda RC30 of Stefan Mertens. He's up. That doesn't look good. He's taking bits with him back to the pits.
I think we give him the benefit of the doubt and say it was a locked up gearbox or something mechanical, because it's not a place he's looked like going off before.
Yes, I've been talking about that gearbox problem all weekend, and I'm surprised they haven't done a little more about it. They said that they're changing bikes initially between the races, and then early, just before the start, they said they hadn't. So, hey, maybe they've paid the price.
That's certainly a look of disappointment, isn't it? That's Stefan Mertens, and obviously his season is now over.
That will leave him third in the championship. No chance of catching Pirovano in second now.
Right, we're back with Raymond Roche through this Dunlop sweeper at Manfield, down the front straight. We've got a clock on him. Just look at that time up in the right corner to see how fast he is going.
I can tell you what he did on the last lap, and it was a 1:83. That's qualifying time. That's not race time. My goodness. He is really proving a point here. He got a lot of flack for having said on the radio and to a journalist that he didn't like the track and he didn't really want to be here, and he liked the country and wouldn't mind going fishing. So I guess he's making amends. Phenomenal time.
Just to put that time into perspective, Tony, we mentioned earlier in the day, and it's worth repeating again, a top Group A car. Oh, and look at Raymond Roche! That looks like engine problems! Raymond Roche! Oh no! He's pulling to a halt!
He's spewing oil out the bottom of that bike. This is terrible. This is the second time he's blown up this season.
He's trying hard to stay off the race line because he knows it's spewing oil. And I guess that's just the price for the pace that he was riding at. I couldn't understand why he was still trying to pull away unless it was to build a buffer. And he's overdone it because he pulled a 1:83 on the last lap, the quickest time we've seen in racing in both legs, the quickest time anybody's been in the race, and he's blown it.
Raymond Roche should stop, put his bike off the circuit. All he's going to do is leave oil there. He is a professional. He should know to do that.
Well, to give the man a little bit of credit, he is staying to the outside of the track because the old combination of oil on a track, waves to the crowd, and why not? He's the world champion and he's given it his absolute best shot. Let's see if we can catch it again. We're watching him come up the infield straight here at Manfield, and look at that!
Yeah, he was just giving it 10-10 off the hairpin there, and wow.
That's bang, isn't it? That's a big, expensive, like multi-thousand-dollar bang. And I tend to agree with Richard in the sense that I think he has been around long enough as a pro not to leave that much oil. Whether it's on the line or not, it's dangerous. And I think that he should have pulled off and left the bike close enough to where it exploded.